If I don't have meetings in the morning, then I try to do school drop off. So they're at two different schools. So that's our big circuit. So from 6:30 in the morning on drop off mornings for me, I'm not home till 9.
I mean, I wasn't surprised at all by this information because Meghan has always said that, she's got lots of staff around her, and we've heard lots of complaints from lots of people that have worked for Meghan. So it was no surprise that she's got this sort of team of people operating her life. But I think I was surprised because she always sold us, the public, this lie that Doria, her mom, was her primary nanny. I mean, she would push all these stories out to the press saying, Doria is living with me. I didn't trust any of the staff at the at the palace when I was living there. I hated it. I just want my family. And then she backtracks and goes on this rant about how her life is so hard because she has to do school drop offs. And thank God that she's got a live in nanny who's been living with the family for the past 5 years, basically raising these two children, I would only assume. And so it's just another lie from Meghan where she's told us one thing about this wholesome family life that she's got, but really it's staff behind the scenes that are upholding this entire image for this woman. I mean, tone deaf could be Meghan Markle's middle name. She is really, really tone deaf when it comes to these things. And I think that 2-hour podcast that I just had to sit through with Jamie Keen Lima, who is also debatably very cut off from the rest of the world. They are both neighbors in Montecito. They live in Montecito. If anyone hasn't been to Montecito, it's this very cut off, gated community, almost Stepford Wives esque, where a lot of women kind of almost walk around lobotomized and completely out of touch with the rest of the world because there's these gilded gates that guard the community. I feel like it's worth mentioning because both of them did come across like they haven't actually, been in touch with maybe someone who's worried about the price of eggs, someone who's got a sick kid, someone who's actually had to deal with real world issues, but also that she has the time to write her child, both children actually, emails every single night. Now, people have had massive reactions to this because of just how unrealistic it is. I think anyone with a child can tell you that once you've actually gotten past all the rigmarole of being a parent, picking the kids up from school, washing them, putting them to bed, the last thing you want to do is get out your laptop and write some sort of long form email to them. But can you imagine being Archie or Lilibet and opening this inbox of 6,000 emails when you turn 18? It's like, no one wants that. Not the children, not anyone involved. And also, it sets this really unrealistic expectation, which Meghan is so good at doing for other parents to do this. I just think the whole thing was really, really out of touch, but she doesn't live in the real world. So, how can we expect her to have any sort of ideas of what it actually is like to be a parent and how many parents can actually do that? Harry is not going to be there for Archie's 6th birthday party. Now, this is yet again another birthday that he's missing. He's in Las Vegas, which famously is not a great place for Harry to be. But he is in Las Vegas launching some other charity effort. I think it's to do with Invictus. He's not going to be there. He seems very checked out from the whole situation. But in terms of, her saying that she really is overwhelmed with motherhood, I mean, has she actually spent one day as a mother with the kids without the aid of nannies, cleaners, chefs? I don't think so. And I think that's where this cognitive dissonance is coming from with her brand, because she's trying to sell herself as this wholesome mother who's baking cookies and making tea for the rest of the family. But we all know that that's not the truth. So when she's trying to sell these kind of, I'm sorry, but crappy, cheap tats to middle America, she needs to have this relatability, and she doesn't have that at all. And this, I really think, is going to be her major roadblock with her business and selling things. When people say, okay, you've said that, oh, it's like the little moments. I sprinkle some flowers on these cookies and I make the day, and you don't have to be from privilege to enjoy that. I just don't think that's going to speak to the market that she's trying to corner here. And I really think that when she says she's overwhelmed, it just makes any other mother think, I'm sorry, you haven't lived a day in my life, hon. But she's the queen of doing this. She's the queen of saying, I'm so overwhelmed. I can't do it all. I mean, in this interview, she really goes on these tangents of talking about how stressful her day is. And when I was listening to it, I was thinking, no, that sounds like a normal day to me, Meghan. Waking up at 6:30 is not that intense. I'm pretty sure the rest of the world is waking up at that time with you. And then saying, I've got to pack school lunches, then I might drive them to school, then I might manage my meetings after that. And she was talking about it as if she was about to sink underwater from the pressure of all this. I just don't believe it for a second, because it's a normal daily routine. Harry as well, he doesn't work a 9 to 5. He's not working that either. So effectively, you've got both parents at home taking calls, taking meetings. It really doesn't sound that intense to me. And we know that Lilibet, she's doing a half day of school. That can't be too intense to manage either. I just think she's, again, crying for sympathy, playing the victim when there's nothing to be a victim about here. And there's also no sympathy to be granted for this lifestyle that she's chosen to live. It's very strange. Meghan additionally says in this interview that she lives in her own echo chamber, which common sense. We kind of can see that from how she conducted herself in this interview. But she also says that she doesn't read anything from the press and that she's really protected herself from it and she doesn't want anything to do with it. This is an outright lie, in my opinion. Everything she's been doing with this As Ever brand launch, with her podcast, is all a response to what the press has been saying. And so I just really don't buy it when she, you know, likes to construct this narrative that she's living in a bubble, and she said she wants to be authentic. She doesn't want anyone to basically burst what she's constructed around herself. It's not true. It's not true at all, because when you see different things like how she tries to play on what the press has said about her children, play on what the press has said about her parenting and how she is a mom, you can see that she reads every single thing. And there was this really, really inauthentic moment where Jamie, the podcast interviewer, founder of It Cosmetics, a pretty established woman on her own, reads out this exclusive that Harry gave to People magazine a week earlier. And Meghan reacts to it for the first time and says, "Oh, I didn't even know that he gave that interview. I had no idea." And it was just Harry saying, I support Meghan in all she does. Sort of like a PR machine has been working on this response and given it to people overnight, as I can kind of tell. Sorry, do you really believe us to buy this, Meghan, that you're just hearing this quote from your own husband for the first time? That makes me question, to be honest, even their relationship, if this is true and she was just hearing it for the first time, because how are you giving quotes to the public and not your own wife? And so it just starts to think that everything is much more shaky and unstable behind the scenes than they want us to think. And the way that she talks about him is really as if someone from her publicity team has told her, say this, don't say this, do that, act as if, you're grateful for every day with him. Anyone who's in a long-term relationship knows that this isn't the case.